Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Lump Dog, your favorite fantasy football commissioner's favorite fantasy football commissioner, and I'm back with another PPH video commissioner message, Stay-at-Home Edition 3.0. Yeah, so those that are new, that are tuning in, I'm doing the Stay-at-Home Edition commissioner message in the off-season to help my members from spazzing out. I figured I'd put myself up here in the media briefing room, take their questions, and help them, waste some time, and myself waste some time while we're staying at home and trying to, flatten that curve during these unprecedented times. Before I get into today's questions, I just do want to make sure that everyone go out there, hit that subscribe and that like button. Make sure to hit that bell notification too to get notified when any new videos are uploaded. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've answered some questions, especially from the viral viewers, but I was trying to give the PPH members some time to answer their questions. And I only have one new question from a PPH League member. This is from the Juggernauts. And I don't know if you guys can hear that right now. I think we have an alert. Yes, that is correct. We do have an alert right now, and you know what that means. That means in PPH, when you hear that sound, that means it's a cuck alert. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a cuck alert from the Juggernauts, Matt Foster. That's correct. Matt Foster with the cuck alert here. So pay attention, y'all. This is his question, and he's got to be a cuck to be answering this. So I'm going to put his cuck alert up here for his question that he's asking the commish. Now, in the PPH cuck, we have our conservatives, and I'm the only pretty much liberal in the league, and that's fine. I don't mind it. That's the difference. I don't hate anybody. I don't think anyone hates. I don't think these people hate America or they're trying to destroy America. We just have a different point of view. But I call them cucks because they're cuck-servatives. So that's why I call them a cuck, and why he has the cuck alert. So let me go ahead and get into his question here, and I'll get into the viral viewer questions here in just a moment. So here is the question from the cucker that I name the Juggernauts. Lump, were you born a cuck or were you raised into a cuck you are today? The classic nature versus nature argument, lumpism. Okay. So, again, I'm putting myself up here. I'll ask any question you guys did. I already did it for Jimmy the Cuck, so now I'll do it for the Juggernauts here. So, Lump, were you born a cuck? No. Were you raised into a cuck? No, I'm not a cuck, and that I am today. Mama didn't raise no cuck, so you get the fog juice there, Mr. Cuck Alert Fossey. Fossey gets the fog juice, that's right. So I hope that answers your question. The answer is no and no. This boy right here, I put myself up here. Cucks don't come up in front of the cameras and take your questions. Cucks run and hide in their safe spaces like, the cucks do. And I ain't no cuck. So there we go. I hope that answers your questions. Now, before I get into the viral viewer questions here, which there are a few, and I do apologize again to my viral viewers. Let me go back to my briefing room here. We could take that cuck off the screen. And I do apologize for not getting my viral viewer questions a little early. I did get some new technology. I've been trying to figure it out to try to up the production on these commissioner videos. I am trying to, appease the fantasy gods, since they really brutally put a hurting on me in that championship game with Little Polly. But I'm going to get to Little Polly here. Actually, you know what? Let's get into it now. I'll get into Little Polly here in just a second. Let me get to these viral viewer questions, because me and Polly got a problem, and I need to break it down to him. So anyway, let's go into the viral viewer questions, and you keep them coming. Again, if you'd like for me to answer your questions, go ahead and hit that like, that subscribe button, and that bell notification, so you can let it, when new videos are posted up. You can leave your questions in the comments, or you can hit them and slide into my DMs like a girl slides into my DMs. You know what I'm saying? Yada. All right. Anyway, so going into the viral viewer questions. Yo, Commish Lump, I just heard that Gronk is coming back to play with Brady in Tampa. Again, I apologize. These are about a week or two old now. So where do you rank Gronk at? How much bump do you give Brady? He has tons of weapons. Jose and Fresno. Hey, Jose in Fresno, thank you for tuning in, man. I appreciate that. So, where do I rank Gronk? I would put Gronk probably middle pack. He's still top 10, but I put him outside the top 5. I still would have, me personally, I like Kittle, I like Kelsey, I like Ertz, I like all those guys better. I actually like Darren Waller, Hunter Henry could easily, with Tyrod, I mean, he's going to need a blanket, right? A security blanket. So I put all those guys ahead of Gronk at this point in time. And just because there's so many weapons in Tampa, if they're going to spread the ball around, in New England it was Gronk and Edelman, really, right? I mean, that's all they really had. So he got a lot of targets. So I put him in the top 10 though, but outside the top 5. Where in that next 5 you put him, that's all up, up to you and where you have him. And then how much of a bump do I give Brady? Gee, Brady, I think he's going to have a pretty good season, man. Just because he's got the experience. He's got more weapons than he's ever had in any offense he's ever had in New England, even more than when he had Randy Moss, right? I mean, because he got Evans and Godwin and Gronk and then Howard. And then, so, I mean, it's just a plethora of weapons. So I would put Brady as a top 5 quarterback this year. So good questions there, Jose in Fresno. Appreciate that. Going on to the next question here from Chris in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Hello, Commish Lem. My wife and I had a trip to Vegas planned for this week that obviously we had to cancel, which really sucks because it would have been our first time in Vegas, and we had it planned for a long time. Yeah, that does suck, bro. I feel for you, man. Vegas is a fun place. We are hoping we can reschedule before this summer is over. I do too, bro. I know you guys spend a lot of time in Vegas. We do. We've drafted there for the last 6 years. So do you have any restaurant or show recommendations? And where have you had the best luck gambling? All right. So any restaurant and show recommendations. So restaurant recommendations, I would recommend the Golden Steer. Now, it's a good steakhouse. It's kind of an old Vegas feel to it. So the ambiance and the feel of it is great. I just wasn't really all impressed with the actual food. But it was still fun, man. When you're with your boys, you have that old Vegas, Sinatra, Rat Pack feel to that place. It's a really good, cool spot. STK at the Cosmo too. I mean, that was an experience, man. The food was good. The dessert was off the chain. They had like this big flambe cotton candy thing that they set fire to, and it melts down into the strawberries. Man, that thing was raw. It was real good. I mean, raw is like good, and it was like being in a club. that's the other thing. Just had tunes bumping. You just wanted to get up and dance. It was like weird. Like you didn't want to sit there and eat. So I would recommend those 2 spots for sure. As far as shows goes, we haven't really been to a lot of shows as the PPH. The one show that I went to during our draft was E40 Function Fridays at Mandalay at the club called Light. Man, that was cracking. That was fun. I had a good time. Now, some PPH members decided instead of going out to a club and having fun for the evening, they wanted to sit at the O2 bar and breathe peach cobbler O2. Let me just give you one guess on who that was. Can you guess? Can you guess who wanted to sit there and suck O2 and their suckhole? Yeah, that's right. That's why you get a cuck alert, because you want to, instead of going to an E40 show and have some fun and, hear some slaps, you want to sit there at an O2 bar at midnight in Vegas. Like, bro, come on, man. Really? Okay. So anyway, I would recommend Function Fridays for E40 at Light if that's still going on when you go to Vegas. So, thank you, Chris. Oh, and then best luck gambling. I'm not a big gambler. I'm just not. My gambling is this right here. This is what I do for my gambling. Is this fantasy football thing? It's kind of like my religion. So I don't do a lot of gambling. But our boy Duke in the league, he won big at MGM, and I think that was the biggest win from last year. Where he won like six grand. So. MGM, I would say then, because we stayed at the Aria a few years and no one came up like that. So we'll say MGM there for your best luck in gambling. All right, next question. This is coming from Henry in the Bayou, man, all the way from New Orleans. Commish Lump, the PPH should come draft in New Orleans. Man, We should. We really should. That is after all this COVID stuff is done, that is one of the bucket lists of the places I'd like to go and draft. We have great bars and food and beautiful women. Where do you think Joe Burrow is going to end up? And how do you think the Tigers are going to do this year with Miles Brennan at quarterback? So, again, I have to apologize, Henry, from Henry in the Bayou. I am late on these questions. So we all know Joe Burrow ended up as the number one pick. That's where I would have said he was going to go. He's the true Tiger King, right? The LSU Tigers, the Bengals, they're Tigers. So he's really the Tiger King. So good for him. He's going to get paid. I know our boy Duke, and again, in our league here, he's a big Bengals fan. So he's hyped to be done with Dalton and on to the next generation of Burrow. And then how do I feel like the Tigers going to do? I'm sorry, Henry, man. I'm not a big college football guy. I'm more of an NFL guy, so I really don't know how they're going to do and how Miles Brennan is going to do. So I'm going to give you a little fog juice on that one. That question gets a little fog juice just because I'm not a big college football guy, and it's too much turnovers, and it's a level of competition that really gets to me in that, right? So like I can't watch games when it's 64-10 or 3. You know, I just lose interest. I didn't go to any of these big colleges, so I don't have any loyalty to them or anything like that. The turnover, you know, and I guess with the NFL, I cannot understand the argument that turnover there is the same. You only have a player really about 3 or 4 years before they end up becoming a free agent and they leave, but usually the stars stick around, so just not a big college football. I'm sorry, Henry, but I do want to come down to New Orleans. I do want to take the PPH down there. I would love to go draft in New Orleans. It would be really fun because I've never been, and it's one of the places that I'd like to go because I know you have great bars, food, and beautiful women. All right, next question here from Bob in Los Angeles. Hello, Commissioner Lumpy. I hope you are doing good and staying home. I am doing good, and I am trying to stay at home as much as possible. I was excited to hear you say that Slow is back in the PPH. Another Slovak fan here, people. Why did he leave the league anyway? So there's, I guess, one question. Why did he leave the league anyway? Wasn't he the guy who won the championship as a rookie? Okay, so that's two questions. That is so impressive. It is pretty impressive to win as a rookie, but we've had 3 of them. Slovak being one, Jay being another, and those were back-to-back years. And then last year with little Paulie winning, and that got real fishy. Real fishy at the end. Get him back on the show. The episode when he called in was the best one ever. Yeah, that was a good episode when Slovak called in. And I'd like more of the PPH to participate in these. I'd appreciate it if they called in and made this something that I can have people to interact with. Because here I am. I just have me and the press corps right here, answering your questions. So, all those people back there, the fake news. So, to answer your questions here, Bob, why did he leave the league anyway? He couldn't draft in Vegas. He couldn't get permission to draft in Vegas, so he had to quit. He could only go to Tahoe. But he's back because we're going to Nashville, and he could get permission to go to Nashville. And he was the guy that won the championship as a rookie. I gave him that. It was impressive, and we can give it to him for Tim Hightower. I forget the New Orleans running back the year. It wasn't Kamara. It was before Kamara. Maybe it was Ingram. I think it was Mark Ingram. He got injured, and he picked up Tim Hightower right before the playoffs. Like, just as the playoffs were starting, first week of the playoffs, he picked up Tim Hightower. And Tim Hightower led him to a championship. He was, scoring 30 points a week during the playoffs. It was ridiculous. I have never seen anything more lucky. Well, there's one other thing I've seen that was pretty more lucky than that. It was years and years ago when we had our treasurer, the Mollywops, playing the A-team, Tommy. And I think A-team had Kurt Warner playing at the Niners, and all he needed was 13 points to win, to get the W. And he ended up getting 10. He was a pick city. I mean, it was crazy. I never seen anything more lucky than that. That was crazy. So good questions, Bob in Los Angeles. Looks like Bob in LA and Mark in San Francisco are big Slovak guys. So Slovak, man, welcome back to the league. You're helping the viral viewers. They're excited that you're back. All right, so last question here for the commish. This is from Paul in Medford, Oregon. Lump, you've been talking about a PPH getting a limo. I say know how to fix it before it breaks. A friend of mine used to own a limo, and he spent more time and money fixing the thing. It wasn't worth it. I bought a boat once and drank beers on it for a while. Then it broke down and I sold it for substantially less than I put into it. And insurance is the most expensive part. Anyways, good luck. I hope you guys do it, but just know what you're getting into. Well, Paul in Medford, Oregon, thank you for your advice on the limo. I haven't been talking about the limo. I kept my mouth shut. Someone brought it up, one of the viral viewers, so one of the other PPH members let it out, and now it's in the ether out there, and so that's how it goes. And I don't know if we're going to get a limo or not. I know we're talking about it. I know we're trying to get it going, but frog juice on you, Paul from Medford, Oregon, because that really wasn't a question. That was more just a statement and advice on a limo. And you know what? We can do this all day with advice and telling us, insurance is expensive. We know insurance is expensive. We know they're going to break down. So, appreciate you tuning in, though. I appreciate you tuning in, Paul. I love my viral viewers, but you get a little fog juice for that statement more than a question. All right. Now, before I wrap it up, I just have to break this down here real quick. Me and the little Polly have been going back and forth on these COVID numbers, okay? So we're all out here in California, and we have a great governor named Gavin Newsom. Anyway, he was talking about when this whole COVID thing popped off that we were going to have like 25 million infections. And then little Polly pops his little mouth off talking about, 25, such bullshit, pulling numbers out of his ass. And I was like, nah, bro, that's what the computer models show if we don't do anything. And he doesn't seem to be able to get it through his head, how computer models work. So I'm going to break it down here. We're going to take him to school. So I got a little video here, and I'm just going to play it real quick. It's only about a minute long. It doesn't break it down as much as I'd like to, but it should give you an idea. So I'll be back in just a second, and I'll explain what I mean here, okay? So roll it.
I want to share with you a few simulations that model how an epidemic spreads. There have recently been a few wonderful interactive articles in this vein, including one in the Washington Post by Harry Stevens, and then another by Kevin Simler over at Melting Asphalt. They are great, you can play with them, they're very informative. I'll of course leave links in the description. After seeing those, I had a few more questions. Like, if people stay away from each other, I get that that's going to slow down the spread. But what if despite mostly staying away from each other, people still occasionally go to a central location, like a grocery store or a school? Also, what if you're able to identify and isolate the cases? And if you can, what if a few slip through? Say because they don't show symptoms, so they aren't tested. How does travel between separate communities affect things? And what if people avoid contact with each other for a while, but then they kind of get tired and stop?
All right, well, there you go. There's that video. So I'm hoping that helps break it down a little bit. In that video, the point that I'm trying to make is, do you see how they had different models for different situations? Well, what if there's one person and how does it affect everyone else? Well, what if there's a central location and there's one place? What if everyone's getting tested? What about if the people slip through that aren't getting tested? See all the different data points that can be put into a model to change the model? So when Gavin Newsom was talking about 25 million people in California getting the COVID, that was before the stay-at-home orders were given. So that means the only way, little Polly, that you could prove Gavin was wrong was if we didn't do anything and it didn't turn into 25 million. But we did do something. We took action. We stayed at home. People listened. So what did that do? That's a different data point. So the data that the model was based on, what numbers had to be adjusted. So that is how the computer model works. And I don't understand why you can't seem to wrap that through your dense skull. You act like you have all the answers when something as simple as just understanding that new data is going to change the computer model. It's like anything, right? You think a guy's going to do good in fantasy football. Hey, this quarterback's going to do great, but he loses his first round, his receiver. So then you go, okay, well now I have to readjust those numbers because he doesn't have this stud wide receiver or this stud running back or his stud left tackle or offensive line or whatever it might be. So, you know what, Paulie, I'm sorry, but you had to do it to yourself. You got knocked out. Ice up, son. You got to get iced up for that. And you know what? Congratulations, Paulie. Yep. You played yourself again. And you get the frog juice, Paulie. and you get the fog juice. Look at that. You got the trifecta. You played yourself, you got knocked out, and you got the fog juice. This is what happens when it doesn't get real fishy at the end of the season. You can't beat me in this argument. That's all there is to it. I even broke it down with visuals and video for you. If you don't understand it now, there's no hope for you. I'm sorry. There's just nothing you can do. So that's pretty much all I had to do for little Polly. But now what I wanted to do real quick is I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of this new technology that I got with this little board. So first off, I got a little soundboard here that I can do. So as you heard the alert before, but I know the league, it pisses them off to see me winning. So this is going to be my new sound effect when I'm winning during the season because it pisses them off to see me winning. And then the commish, all I do is win. That's all I do. And then as I do with Polly, all I do is win, win, win. Unless it gets real fishy at the end of the season and you lose your number 1 and number 2 receivers. I mean, that was a lot of adversity to try to overtake, right? A lot of adversity. And then real quick, we also have cuck alerts for the Dare Pair. There's a cuck alert there for Dare Pair. We also have the Jimmy the Cuck alert. That's a good one. And then especially with Jimmy the Cuck, because he definitely pisses him off when he sees me winning. That's for sure. Makes him mad when he sees the commission winning. So anyway, that's just a little bit of the new stuff I can do. I hope you all enjoyed this week's message, and keep those questions coming. I'll be back on here. There's more questions, the sooner I'll get back on here and answer them. So peace out, y'all. Lump Dogs out. Peace.